people wake up, get ready, and go about their lives, following routines, habits, and expectations. They live according to the standard path laid out before them. Go to school, get a job, pay the bills, maybe have a family, and hope to find meaning in the process. But here's the thing. Living like this does not guarantee fulfillment, growth, or impact. And the most tragic part is that many of these individuals never stop to question why they are following this path. The truth is, they're not thinking for themselves, they're thinking like everyone else. But what if we told you that you don't have to think like everyone else? What if, instead of simply conforming to expectations, you could rise above the noise and forge your own path? What if the key to success, fulfillment, and greatness lies in your ability to think differently? There's something deeply powerful about independent thought. It's the ability to challenge the status quo, to ask questions that others aren't asking, and to pursue your dreams with relentless conviction, no matter how unconventional they may seem. The world rewards those who are willing to think for themselves and act accordingly. Independent thinkers are the ones who create lasting change. They're the innovators, the creators. They bring new ideas into the world. When we look at the most successful people throughout history, we see that they weren't the ones who blindly followed the crowd. They were the ones who dared to think differently. They were the ones who saw the world not as it was, but as it could be. And they didn't wait for permission from anyone to pursue their vision. They acted. They led. And they changed the world. You may be wondering, but how can I think differently? How do I break free from the conditioning of society that tells me how I should live? It starts with one simple choice: to stop living according to someone else's script. Too many people spend their lives merely existing, following a pattern that was laid out for them before they even had a chance to decide who they were. They've inherited the dreams, the values, the goals of others, and they spend their lives chasing them without ever questioning why. The world is full of people who are content to be led, content to follow the familiar path because it feels safe and it's comfortable. But comfort is the enemy of progress. If you want to truly make an impact, to live a life of purpose, you have to be willing to step away from the conventional and make your own path. You have to challenge yourself every day to think in ways that are different from the crowd. You need to start asking yourself questions like, what do I really want? What do I believe in? What am I willing to fight for? This isn't easy. In fact, it's one of the most difficult things you'll ever do, because the moment you start thinking for yourself, you'll face resistance. You'll be criticized. You'll be told you're crazy, that you're dreaming too big, that you're not being realistic. But those who change the world are the ones who ignore the noise, who listen to their own inner voice, and who refuse to let others define them. Think of the greatest leaders, the trailblazers and the innovators. They didn't build their legacies by doing what was safe or comfortable. They built them by challenging the status quo, by refusing to accept things as they were. They asked bold questions, took risks, and made their own decisions. You don't have to be extraordinary to think differently. You just have to be willing. The moment you decide to stop following the crowd and start listening to your own intuition, you begin to tap into a power that most people never even realize they have. It's the power to create, to innovate, to change things in ways that others cannot even begin to imagine. When you think differently, you begin to see the world not through the lens of what has already been done, but through the lens of what could be. The possibilities are endless. You are no longer confined to the limits that others impose on you. You are free to create your own path, to build your own future. You see, the key to unlocking your potential lies in your ability to resist the temptation to follow the herd. Most people live their lives on autopilot, doing the things they're supposed to do because it's expected. But this type of thinking traps them in a cycle of mediocrity. They're not living life on their own terms. They're living according to someone else's script. The moment you choose to think for yourself is the moment you break free. It's the moment you start to create a life that aligns with your true desires, your true potential. And while the journey won't be easy, it will be yours. And there is no greater power than the ability to shape your own destiny. If you want to make a real impact in this world, you have to embrace the uncomfortable truth that the road less traveled is the one that leads to greatness. It's the one that leads to fulfillment, to success, and to the life you were always meant to live. It won't always be easy. There will be days when you question your decisions, when you wonder if you're on the right path, when you doubt yourself. But remember this, every great leader, every revolutionary thinker, every game changer has faced the same fears, the same doubts, the same resistance. What set them apart was their willingness to push through, to keep going, even when it seemed impossible. When you choose to think for yourself, you choose to rise above the noise. You choose to focus on your own vision, your own purpose, and your own values. And that's when the magic happens. You need anyone's approval to pursue your dreams. You don't need anyone's validation to take that next step. All you need is the courage to believe in yourself, the confidence to trust your own instincts, and the conviction to keep moving forward no matter what. The world is full of people who have the potential to achieve greatness, but most of them will never realize it because they are too busy trying to fit in, too busy trying to live up to someone else's expectations. They are living someone else's life. You are not like them. You were born to think differently, to stand out, and to create a life that reflects who you truly are. The moment you decide to stop thinking like everyone else is the moment your life will begin to change. You have the power to shape your own future. You have the power to change the world. So ask yourself this, what are you waiting for? The world needs people who think differently. The world needs people who are willing to take risks, to challenge the status quo, and to create something new. And that person, the one who can change the world, is you, but only if you choose to think for yourself. The journey to greatness begins with a courage to think independently. Every great achievement in history was born from someone's willingness to think differently, to challenge the norms, and to break free from conventional expectations. When you allow yourself to think for yourself, you open up a world of possibilities that others simply don't see. Independent thinking is the foundation of innovation, and it is the spark that fuels the fire of progress. In a world full of noise and distractions, it's all too easy to fall into the trap of following what everyone else is doing. Society tells us what's normal, what's acceptable, and what we should aspire to. We're taught to follow a predefined path, to stick to the plan, and to live a life that looks like everyone else's. But greatness is not born from conformity. It's born from daring to step outside the box, to question the rules, and to explore new territory. It's born from the ability to look at the world with fresh eyes and to ask, what if? When you think independently, you're not bound by the limitations that others impose on you. You become free to explore your own potential and possibilities. Instead of simply accepting things as they are, you begin to ask the difficult questions. Why is this the way it is? What could be better? How can we make a difference? These questions are the foundation of innovation. They are the tools that great leaders use to envision a future that is different from the present. Think about the leaders, creators, and visionaries who have shaped our world. These individuals didn't achieve greatness by simply following the crowd. They were the ones who dared to stand apart, to challenge the system, and to offer new solutions to old problems. They were the ones who saw opportunities where others saw obstacles. And they used their independent thinking to pave the way for future generations. Albert Einstein, for instance, didn't become one of the most brilliant minds in history by adhering to conventional ideas. His theory of relativity completely redefined the way we understand space, time, and gravity. He didn't follow the established norms of physics. He thought independently, saw things from a new perspective, and created a breakthrough that revolutionized our understanding of the universe. The same is true for innovators like Steve Jobs, who transformed the technology industry by thinking outside the box and pushing boundaries. Jobs didn't create the iPhone by following the conventional ideas of what a phone should be. He reimagined the very concept of a phone, integrating technology, design, and functionality in a way that no one else had dared to do. His ability to think independently and challenge the status quo led to one of the most successful and influential products in modern history. Independent thinking is not just about coming up with new ideas. It's also about having the courage to act on them. Many people have brilliant ideas but are too afraid to pursue them because they fear failure or rejection. Great leaders, however, take risks. They are willing to invest their time, energy, and resources in ideas that may seem impossible at first, but through their persistence and belief in their own vision, they bring their ideas to life and make a lasting impact on the world. By embracing independent thinking, you give yourself the freedom to create, to innovate, and to lead. You start to see the world not for what it is, but for what it could be. You begin to recognize opportunities where others see limitations, and you have the vision to turn those opportunities into reality. Independent thinking empowers you to chart your own course, to be the author of your own story, and to contribute to the world in a way that is uniquely yours. In the end, the most successful individuals are those who dare to think for themselves. They are the ones who challenge the status quo, who ask the questions no one else is asking, and who push the boundaries of what is possible. When you learn to think independently, you unlock your true potential and begin the journey toward greatness. Conformity is the silent force that keeps people tethered to the ordinary, to the predictable, and to the safe. It's the invisible chain that binds us to a path that others have already walked, a path laid out by society's expectations, norms, and traditions. It feels comfortable, like a familiar, well-worn road, but it's precisely this comfort that keeps us from experiencing true growth and progress. When we live according to someone else's blueprint, we confine ourselves to a life that lacks originality and purpose. The result is mediocrity, a life that meets the basic expectations but never exceeds them. When people conform to societal norms, they often follow a set path without questioning why it exists or if it's the right path for them. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that there's only one way to live, one way to succeed, one way to be happy. Society tells us to go to school, get a good job, climb the corporate ladder, and work hard until retirement. This formula is repeated over and over, and because it's familiar and accepted by most, it seems like the only path worth pursuing. But here's the harsh truth. This path doesn't guarantee fulfillment, growth, or success. It's a one-size-fits-all approach that doesn't take into account the unique dreams, talents, or passions that make each person who they are. It's a path designed for the many, not the few, and it ignores the potential for individual brilliance and creative contribution. Living this way often leads to a life of quiet dissatisfaction. It's a life that meets expectations but doesn't inspire greatness or leave a lasting impact. To make a difference in this world, to create a life that is both meaningful and successful, you must break free from the constraints of conformity. You must be willing to leave the safety of the conventional path and embrace the unknown. This doesn't mean rejecting all tradition or ignoring established wisdom. It means acknowledging that the path that works for others may not be the one that works for you. It means having the courage to carve your own route, one that aligns with your values, passions, and aspirations. Breaking free from conformity is a radical act of self-empowerment. It begins with a willingness to challenge the assumptions and expectations that others place on you. It means asking yourself difficult questions like, what do I really want out of life? And what kind of impact do I want to make? It's about stepping outside the comfortable mold and taking a hard look at whether the life you're living is the one you truly want, or if you've just been following the prescribed steps without much thought. When you decide to break free from conformity, you open up a world of possibility. You begin to see that there is no single right way to live, no one-size-fits-all solution. Instead, you start to see life as a series of choices, each one an opportunity to create a life that is uniquely yours. You begin to trust yourself, your instincts, and your ability to design your future. This process requires courage, as it often means going against the flow of what everyone else is doing. It may feel lonely at times, especially when those around you are following the conventional path, but remember this: greatness is not achieved by doing what everyone else does. Think of the trailblazers. the visionaries who defied convention and made their own way. Steve Jobs didn't follow the traditional path laid out by the tech industry. He took risks, broke the rules, and reinvented how we interact with technology. He didn't create Apple by simply following the trends of the time. He created something radically different because he refused to conform to industry standards. Similarly, people like Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk, and countless others became successful not because they stuck to the expected course, but because they were willing to take risks, break boundaries, and build their own paths from scratch. Breaking free from conformity is not easy. It requires resilience, conviction, and the willingness to face the unknown. It's easier to stay in the comfortable, predictable routine, but that's not where growth happens. True growth occurs when you step into the unknown, challenge the norms, and embrace the uncomfortable process of self-discovery. It's about finding your own voice, understanding what truly matters to you, and building a life that reflects those values. The journey of breaking free from conformity doesn't end with one decision. It's a continuous process of making choices that align with who you are, not who society thinks you should be. Every step you take outside the conventional path is a step toward creating a life that's fully yours. It's a life driven by your own passions, values, and vision, not by someone else's expectations. So ask yourself, what path are you on? Is it the one you've chosen, or is it the one society has chosen for you? If it's the latter, now is the time to make a change. Break free from the comfort of conformity and start building the life that only you can create. Thinking differently is not for the faint of heart. It requires a level of courage that most people are reluctant to embrace, as it often involves standing up against established norms, questioning long-held beliefs, and at times risking personal and professional sacrifice. It means being willing to face criticism, rejection, and even failure, all while holding firm to the belief that change is not only necessary, but possible. This is the true essence of courage, the willingness to challenge the status quo in the pursuit of something greater. The status quo is powerful. It's comforting, predictable, and widely accepted. Society, cultures, and institutions often operate based on systems that have been in place for years, decades, or even centuries. These systems offer a sense of stability and security, and they shape the way people think, act, and live. But therein lies the problem. When the systems in place are not questioned or challenged, they stagnate. Innovation slows, progress halts, and individuals become trapped in a cycle of mediocrity. For real change to happen, someone, often an individual or a small group, must have the courage to challenge these systems, to defy the expectations, and to fight for what could be, not just what is. Change makers throughout history have demonstrated this courage in remarkable ways. Take, for example, people like Mahatma Gandhi, who challenged an entire empire's control over a nation with the simple yet revolutionary idea of nonviolent resistance. Gandhi faced immense opposition, not just from the British, but also from those within his own community who doubted his method. Yet, his unwavering courage to question the status quo and his refusal to accept injustice ultimately led to India's independence. His actions sparked a global movement for peace and civil rights, illustrating the extraordinary power of challenging the accepted norms. Another example is Martin Luther King Jr., whose vision for racial equality and justice in the United States came at a time when segregation and discrimination were deeply embedded in society. He faced violent opposition, hatred, and ridicule, but his courage to speak out against the prevailing system and demand change inspired a movement that would transform an entire nation. Despite the overwhelming resistance, his commitment to justice and equality helped pave the way for civil rights advancements that are still felt today. But challenging the status quo doesn't always require a grand historic movement. In fact, it often starts with small, everyday acts of bravery. It can be as simple as speaking up in a meeting when you know your idea will be met with skepticism. Or it can be as daring as leaving a secure job to pursue a dream that others think is too risky. The courage to challenge the status quo is found in those moments when we choose to act on our convictions, even when doing so seems uncomfortable or unpopular. Consider the example of entrepreneurs and innovators who have faced resistance at the very beginning of their journeys. People like Thomas Edison, whose vision of electric light was met with skepticism and ridicule. Edison famously failed thousands of times before he successfully invented the light bulb. Yet he continued because he believed in a future that others couldn't yet see. He did not allow the fear of failure or the voices of naysayers to deter him. Instead, his courage to challenge the limitations of his time brought us the invention that would change the world forever. It's important to understand that the courage to challenge the status quo is not the absence of fear, it's the ability to act in spite of fear. It's the strength to move forward even when the path is uncertain, even when others doubt your vision, and even when you're unsure of the outcome. The most successful individuals and leaders are not those who are fearless, they are those who acknowledge their fears but choose to face them head on. They understand that failure, criticism, and rejection are inevitable parts of the process, but they also know that these challenges are what makes success all the more meaningful. One of the reasons that so many people hesitate to challenge the status quo is because of the fear of being criticized or rejected. It's a very human fear. No one wants to feel alienated or dismissed. However, history has shown that those who are willing to endure this criticism are the ones who leave lasting legacies. They are the pioneers, the ones who redefine industries, societies, and cultures, and their successes are built on the foundation of their courage to go against the grain. So, what does it take to develop the courage to challenge the status quo? It starts with belief. Belief in yourself, your ideas, and your vision for a better future. When you believe in your cause and what you're working toward, you become immune to the voices of doubt and fear that try to hold you back. It also takes a willingness to embrace failure as part of the journey. Failure isn't the end. It's simply a step on the road to success. The more you fail, the more you learn. The more you face resistance, the stronger your resolve becomes. Most importantly, it takes a willingness to take risks. It's easy to stay in the comfort zone, to follow the established path, and to avoid conflict. But comfort rarely leads to greatness. If you want to make a difference, you have to step out of that comfort zone and be willing to take calculated risks. Whether it's a business venture, a creative project, or a social cause, success often requires you to step into the unknown and take a leap of faith. In the end, the courage to challenge the status quo is what drives progress and change. It's what pushes humanity forward and leads to breakthroughs in science, technology, and society. The world needs more people who are willing to speak out, stand up, and challenge what is in place for the sake of creating something better. And if you have the courage to take that first step, to question what's been accepted for far too long, you just might be the one to change the world. Self reflection is one of the most powerful tools at your disposal when it comes to discovering your unique path in life. It's the process of looking inward, of taking the time to truly understand who you are, what you value, and what motivates you. In a world that constantly encourages comparison and external validation, self reflection allows you to quiet the noise and tune into your own inner voice. When you reflect on your desires, passions, and motivations, you begin to uncover a path that is uniquely yours, a path that is not influenced by the expectations of others, but rather by what resonates deeply with your soul. In our fast paced, achievement driven world, it's easy to get caught up in the race to meet the standards set by society or those around us. We often look at others and measure our progress, success, or happiness against theirs. Social media, career milestones, and societal benchmarks all create a sense of pressure, urging us to keep up, to achieve, to be successful. But the truth is, the more we compare ourselves to others, the further we drift from our own authentic selves. The more we try to fit into molds that are not our own, the less we experience true fulfillment. That's where self reflection becomes so vital. Instead of measuring yourself against the accomplishments or lifestyles of others, self reflection encourages you to focus inwardly on what excites you, what truly inspires you, and what aligns with your personal values. It asks the questions: what do I want from life? What makes me feel alive? What brings me joy? These questions, though simple, carry immense power. They allow you to peel away the layers of external expectations and connect with the core of who you are. Self reflection is not about finding the right answers or following someone else's blueprint. It's about understanding your own desires and motivations on a deeper level. It's about identifying what feels authentic to you, regardless of what anyone else thinks or says. This process requires vulnerability and honesty. It requires the courage to confront the parts of yourself that may be buried beneath the surface and the willingness to embrace them, no matter how unconventional or unexpected they may be. One of the most liberating aspects of self reflection is that it allows you to identify what truly excites you. Often we spend so much time chasing what we think we should want, be it a career, a lifestyle, or a relationship, that we forget to check in with ourselves to see if it's what we actually desire. When you take the time to reflect, you reconnect with your passions and your interests. You begin to understand what lights you up from within, what makes you feel energized and motivated, and what sparks a sense of purpose in your life. This self awareness is crucial for creating a life that is fulfilling and meaningful. Equally important is aligning your life with your values. Our values are the compass that guides our decisions, actions, and relationships. They are the foundation upon which we build our lives. Yet it's easy to lose sight of them when we're constantly looking outward for validation or approval. Self reflection helps you realign with what truly matters to you, whether it's integrity, creativity, family, freedom, or any other value that speaks to your heart. When you live in alignment with your values, you experience a deep sense of fulfillment and peace, knowing that you're not living for anyone else's expectations, but rather for your own. Self reflection also helps you develop clarity about your long term vision. Life can often feel overwhelming with so many possibilities, opportunities, and distractions, but by taking the time to reflect, you can sift through the noise and gain a clear sense of direction. You begin to understand where you want to go, why you want to go there, and how to align your actions with your vision. This clarity brings a sense of purpose and focus to your life, making decisions easier to navigate and your journey more intentional. However, self reflection is not just a one time exercise, it's an ongoing process. Your values, desires, and motivations will evolve over time, and so too should your reflections. As you grow and experience life, you may discover new passions, shift priorities, or reevaluate your goals. Regular self reflection keeps you in tune with these changes, ensuring that you're always moving forward in a direction that feels right for you. It's not about perfection or certainty, it's about continual growth and alignment with your true self. The power of self reflection lies in its ability to help you create a personal vision that is authentic and unique to you. This vision doesn't rely on anyone else's expectations or standards. It comes from within. It's the culmination of your values, passions, experiences, and dreams. When you have this vision, you gain a sense of direction that makes life more purposeful. You are no longer chasing external markers of success. Instead, you are creating a life that feels deeply aligned with who you are and what you want to contribute to the world. In a world where external pressures often dictate how we should live, self reflection is your anchor. It keeps you grounded in your truth, helping you create a life that is meaningful and fulfilling. It empowers you to make choices that reflect your deepest desires and motivations rather than simply following the crowd or fulfilling the expectations of others. Through self reflection, you unlock the power to live authentically, to craft a path that is truly yours, and to make a difference that reflects your unique gifts and passions. The more you engage in this process, the clearer your vision will become, and the more aligned your life will feel with your true purpose. The path of thinking for yourself is rarely a smooth one. It is filled with uncertainty, fear, doubt, and criticism. When you choose to carve out your own path, you are in many ways stepping into the unknown, and the unknown can be a daunting place. It's natural to feel fear when you're venturing into new territory, whether that's starting a new project, speaking out for what you believe in, or following an unconventional dream. Doubt creeps in as you wonder whether you're on the right track, whether you're capable of achieving your vision, and whether others will support you. But it is precisely in these moments of fear and doubt that true leadership is born. Every great innovator, leader, or trailblazer throughout history has faced moments of uncertainty. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the absence of fear, but the ability to push forward in spite of it. Fear and doubt are universal experiences. They are part of the human condition, and they arise whenever we stretch beyond our comfort zones or challenge the status quo. But what separates those who go on to create lasting change from those who stay within the safety of conformity is their ability to face these feelings and continue moving forward. Fear often emerges when we take risks, and risks are inherent to thinking independently. Whenever you step outside the norm, you put yourself in a vulnerable position. It's easy to let fear paralyze you, to convince yourself that it's too risky to take the next step, to stay within the bounds of what feels comfortable and familiar. But true innovation and progress come from stepping into that fear, not running from it. Those who achieve greatness are the ones who are willing to sit with the discomfort, acknowledge their fears, but not let those fears dictate their actions. It's important to understand that fear is not an indicator that you should stop. In fact, fear often means that you are on the verge of something important. It means you are stretching yourself, stepping into new challenges, and pushing your limits. Fear is the mind's natural response to uncertainty, to the unknown. It's a sign that you are doing something meaningful, something that matters. The more you confront and move through your fears, the more you grow. Overcoming fear isn't about eliminating it entirely. It's about learning to manage it, to recognize it for what it is, and to keep moving forward despite it. Doubt, too, is a constant companion on the journey of independent thinking. Doubt can be a voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough, that you're not capable, or that you won't succeed. It can cause you to second guess your decisions and your abilities, making you question whether the vision you have is even possible. But doubt is not a reflection of your abilities. It's a reflection of your mind wrestling with uncertainty. It's natural to have moments of self-doubt, especially when you are doing something new or unconventional. But rather than letting doubt stop you, use it as fuel. Let it drive you to work harder, to refine your vision, and to prove to yourself that you are capable of overcoming obstacles. Criticism is another challenge that comes with thinking for yourself. Whenever you step out of the crowd and do something different, you will inevitably face criticism. People may question your choices, doubt your ideas, or even try to bring you down. Criticism can be painful, but it is also an inevitable part of pushing boundaries. Remember, those who criticize are often the ones who have not yet found the courage to break free from conformity themselves. They're afraid of change, of risk, and of the unknown. But if you are committed to your vision and have the courage to follow your own path, the opinions of others, especially those rooted in fear, will become less significant. Facing fear, doubt, and criticism is not easy, but it is essential for anyone who wishes to make a meaningful impact. True leaders and innovators are those who persist through these challenges. They embrace the discomfort, accept that failure is a part of the process, and keep moving forward with resilience. They trust in their vision even when the path is unclear, and they believe in their ability to succeed even when the odds seem stacked against them. The ability to persist in the face of fear and doubt requires a deep sense of self-belief. It's not enough to just have a vision. You must believe that your vision is worth pursuing, even when others don't see it. You must trust in your ability to figure things out, to learn from your mistakes, and to continue forward no matter how difficult the journey becomes. This is where true leadership is born. The courage to keep going when everything within you and around you may be telling you to stop. When you push through fear, doubt, and criticism, you not only create opportunities for yourself, but also inspire others to do the same. Your ability to persist in the face of adversity becomes a powerful example for others who may be struggling with their own fears and doubts. In this way, you don't just create change for yourself, you create a ripple effect that encourages others to take risks, face their own fears, and pursue their own visions. The journey of thinking for yourself is challenging, but it is also deeply rewarding. It's not about avoiding fear or doubt. It's about acknowledging them and continuing on your path, trusting that every step you take brings you closer to your vision. True leaders and innovators are not defined by the absence of fear or doubt, but by their ability to persist through these challenges and remain focused on their ultimate goal. Keep moving forward. Trust in your vision and have the courage to overcome whatever obstacles come your way. Success lies on the other side of your fear. The ultimate reward of thinking differently is not just about achieving success or recognition. It's about creating a life that reflects your true self. It's about living in alignment with your values, passions, and purpose. When you choose to think for yourself and carve out your own path, you are no longer living according to someone else's blueprint. Instead, you are designing a life that is authentic, fulfilling, and deeply meaningful. This is the true power of independent thinking. It empowers you to shape a life that resonates with who you truly are at your core. Too often, we get caught in the pursuit of external validation, driven by society's expectations or the opinions of others. We chase after achievements, success, and material rewards, thinking that these things will bring us happiness and fulfillment. But what happens when we reach those goals and realize that they don't bring us the deep sense of satisfaction we expected? What happens when we achieve everything we're supposed to achieve, only to find that it doesn't feel like it's truly ours? The answer lies in living authentically, in creating a life that is reflective of who we are, not who the world expects us to be. Creating a life that reflects your true self begins with a deep understanding of who you are and what you truly want. It requires introspection, self-awareness, and the courage to pursue what excites you, what aligns with your values, and what makes you feel alive. When you take the time to reflect on your desires, motivations, and passions, you unlock a clearer sense of direction. You begin to understand what truly matters to you and what you want to contribute to the world. This clarity allows you to make decisions that are aligned with your authentic self, rather than following the expectations of others or simply going along with the crowd. Trusting your instincts is another crucial aspect of creating a life that reflects your true self. We often underestimate the power of our intuition. It's easy to second guess ourselves, especially when the opinions of others weigh heavily on us. However, your instincts are a powerful guide. They connect you to your deepest wisdom and help you navigate the uncertainties of life. When you trust yourself, you begin to make decisions that feel right, even if they don't always make sense to others. You learn to trust that the path you are walking is the right one for you, even if it diverges from what others are doing. Staying true to your values is equally important when creating a life that reflects your true self. Your values are the foundation upon which everything else in your life is built. They are the principles that guide your decisions, relationships, and actions. When you live in alignment with your values, you experience a sense of inner peace and fulfillment that cannot be found in external achievements or possessions. On the other hand, when you compromise your values for the sake of fitting in or achieving success, you begin to feel disconnected from your true self, and that sense of fulfillment eludes you. Living according to your values ensures that the life you build is one that brings you genuine happiness rather than hollow success. By choosing your own path, you take full ownership of your life. You become the architect of your own future, empowered to make choices that are aligned with your deepest aspirations. The journey may not always be easy. It requires courage, resilience, and a willingness to face the discomfort of stepping outside the norm. But the reward is a life that feels authentic, purposeful, and fulfilling. It is a life that is uniquely yours, not defined by the standards set by others, but shaped by your own vision. This process is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about making decisions that honor who you are, even when the road is difficult or the outcome uncertain. Creating a life that reflects your true self means allowing yourself to evolve, to grow, and to learn. It means being open to change and trusting that every step you take is leading you closer to your authentic self.